The kingdom of Mercuria, nestled along the fertile Nile in the ancient lands of Nubia, a realm of baked earth villages, strong Coptic faith, and a tradition stretching back generations. Into this land came a man unlike any they had ever seen. He was Elon Musk, Dutch, a foreigner carrying the ideas and restless ambitions of a distant Europe. He was an outsider, though he shared their Coptic faith. His pale skin, his different dress, and most especially, his way of thinking marked him as separate. Mercuria was a land of deep history, but to Elon's eyes, accustomed to the burgeoning merchant towns and engineered landscapes of the low counties, it appeared profoundly underdeveloped. Opportunities, inefficiencies seemed to cry out from the landscape. Elon possessed a phenomenal intellect, a mind that constantly saw patterns and possibilities for improvement, for optimization. It was paired with the drive of an architect and innate instinct for stewardship, for marshaling resources, and for making things grow. Yet communicating his visions was often a struggle, hampered by a persistent and sometimes halting stutter. These irrigation pumps you use, they lose half the water before the field. With proper gearing, a better wheel design, you could double your yield, maybe even triple. The wheels are as our fathers made them, foreigner. They work. The Nile bless us when it will. We do not need complicated new ways. Your price for the dates? They don't see so much potential. It's being wasted. Tradition is fine, but efficiency, it is kind of a virtue too. A stewardship of God's given resources. They have faith, yes, our faith, but they lack drive, innovation. He was ambitious, but his ambition seemed alien here. He saw potential wealth not just in gold, but in building systems, in improving processes. He began gathering a small mixed group of followers, some locals intrigued by this strange, intense foreigner, and a few other travelers or mercenaries drawn to his confidence and the promise of enterprise. Among the first was Effain the Honest, a weathered, pragmatic Nubian architect who had traveled these routes for years. Elon, you must be patient. These are good people, but their ways are ancient, slow. Your ideas of gears and leverage and accelerated ventures, they sound like madness to them. But Effain, it is madness to watch potential wither. On the vine, there must be a way to build something to demonstrate value. His opportunity came, as it often does, in the rumors of a risky venture outside the formal traditional economy of Mercuria. Well, there is talk. It's downriver, down near the ruins at Shamir, a treasure hunt they call it. Since it lies outside of the king's direct protection, an old story. But there are still tales of it. Perhaps maybe of a hidden hoard. We could find 100 gold pieces, enough to fund a real demonstration of your ideas. Elon's eyes sparked with interest. 100 gold? Even half of that, yes, that is a foundation. Risk can be managed. We need people. A good physician is essential. We need more skills. and putting his excessive stewardship skills to work, Elon began organizing the expedition. He carefully vetted recruits and bargained for medical supplies. He convinced a local Coptic woman with a reputation for healing, a woman who was known as Itu the Gentle, to join on their dangerous quest, persuading her of the need and respecting her faith. People here seemed to sense the conviction, the genius beneath his halting speech. "You speak strangely, Dutchman, but your eyes hold truth, and your faith seems sincere. I will travel with you. May God protect us on this venture." The journey to the Shamir took them through rugged drylands, starkly different from Elon's homeland. He, however, thrived on the challenge, observing everything, his mind cataloging, learning. Efane, see the way this wadi floods? Efane, the erosion patterns. A cistern here, a proper dam upstream. This whole area could be made productive. Finally, following the cryptic clues, Elon's own eyes spotted what others had missed. A well-hidden cavity in the cliff face. Inside they found a cool grotto, clearly a disused ancient shrine. But to their disappointment, the treasure hoard was gone, if it had ever been there. Under the gaze of unfamiliar faded paintings, Elon located only a single small gold bauble on a dusty offering plate. Yet as before, luck favored the venture. Ato the Gentle, the physician, while examining the herbs growing near the grotto's damp entrance, uncovered a small loose rock. Beneath it lay a small pouch containing a handful of gold coins, overlooked by all of them. True to her promise to support Elon's venture, she brought it to him. The spirits, or our shared God, provides Elon Musk. This is not a king's ransom, but it is something. Elon began to hold the musk, a determined glint in his eyes. No, not a ransom, but it is proof. It is a start, it is capital. Enough to build a better mousetrap or a better water wheel. We came here to this land of ancient ways. We faced the unknown and we prevailed. We learned this journey has value beyond the gold. The foreigner, the Dutchman in Mercuria, had completed his first successful, if small, venture. He had proven he could lead and organize and turn a rumor into a tangible result, even in a land so different from his own. His mind was already working, building on this small success, envisioning bigger, more ambitious futures. The foundation was laid. And now we are in a work site close to the city markets. The modest gold from the Shamir Grotto was not hoarded by Elon. To his stewardship mind and capabilities, capital was a tool, an enabler of greater ambitions. Back in Mercuria, he sought new ventures. His ingenuity was looking for purchases in the ancient soils of Nubia. He observed the lifeblood of the kingdom, the Nile, and the traditional methods used to harness its power. His mind, ever restless, saw a dozen improvements. Look, Elder, the current water wheels, they are robust, but the design, it wastes much of the river force. My design, it uses a different gearing. It lifts more water higher with less effort from the oxen. Think of the yields for your fields. The Mercurian Elder squinting. It is lines on parchment, Dutchman. Our ways have served us for lifetimes. The river gives what it gives. Why anger the spirits with new foreign contraptions? It is not about angering spirits, Elder. It is about understanding the principles God has laid within creation. Efficiency is a form of wisdom too. Let me build one, just one to show you. With the small capital from the grotto, and by calling in favors from a few locals who saw promise in his earnest, if unusual, intensity, Elon managed to construct a prototype of his improved water wheel. It was a struggle. Materials were scarce, skilled laborer even scarcer, but his genius lay not just in the design, but in his problem solving, his relentless iterations. The day his wheel was first tested, a small crowd gathered. When it turned, lifting a visibly greater volume of water with smoother action, a murmur of surprise, then grudging admiration rippled through them. It was a small victory, but significant. It opened a few more doors, and it reinforced Elon's convictions. His ventures required more travel. He moved between villages along the Nile, sometimes offering his services to improve irrigation, sometimes undertaking contracts to solve practical problems for the local headmen. A boundary dispute here, a crumbling wall there. Fane, we need to learn. I need to learn the tongues of these lands. My stutter is a hindrance enough. Without these words, my ideas cannot take proper root. I must start to learn Sudanese myself. This is wise, Elon. Speaking their heart language opens more doors than a battering ram. And you'll need more than Ito the Gentle if our ventures are to grow. We need good knights, loyal armsmen. It was then that Elon actively went on a recruitment spree, searching for knights. Master Elon, you know what it's like to be a man away from home, to have no others like you, to have people look upon you and just spit in your face. I see that you are truly doing great things, not only for this kingdom but beyond. Please, allow me to join you in your cause. I'm looking to build something with you. I can feel your heartfelt determination, and I think you can be useful to us. Yes, you may join us, Kadir. And so the band grows, ever slowly, a curious mix of Dutch ingenuity and Mercurian local knowledge. These journeys, often into unfamiliar territories, began to shape Elon profoundly. He learned to read the land, anticipates its dangers, and navigate its complexities. He became something of a bit of a traveler that was being forged in the crucibles of these expeditions. And one day in a larger settlement, a local festival was underway. Part of the festivities involved contests of horsemanship and mock combat. It was not a grand tournament, but a robust local affair. A feigned honest, seeing an opportunity for his ambitious young leader to gain further respect among the more martial-minded locals, urged him to participate, or at least sponsor a champion from their band. Elon, these games, they value prowess here. Even if your strength is in your mind, a show of involvement would not go amiss. Kadir could represent Perhaps I could try the mounted games myself. Not the dueling, but the skilled arm at horseback. It is a system. A problem of balance and timing and control like any other machine. To everyone's surprise, Elon, after some quick instruction from Kadir and Nafane, entered a competition involving steering rings and maneuvering a horse through a complex course. His initial attempts were clumsy, his stutter perhaps even more pronounced as he shouted commands to his borrowed mount. But his genius for analysis, for rapid learning was astonishing. He began to understand the system of it. By the end of the afternoon of surprisingly dedicated, if sometimes awkward effort, he managed to have a respectable showing, not winning, but earning nods of approval for his sheer tenacity and quick improvement. For such a small, unexpected foray into the world of martial displays and from the necessity of leading and protecting his growing caravan adventures, Elon was finding himself becoming a bit more of a hasteluder. He was no natural warrior, but he was a genius who could deconstruct and learn almost any system, even that of horsemanship and basic arms. His movement and involvement, even as a novice, showed a willingness to engage with all aspects of this new life. His reputation as an innovator, a problem solver, and a surprisingly tenacious individual began to spread beyond small circles of his initial success. The Dutch foreigner Mercurial was becoming a known quantity, a man of strange speech, yes, but also a man of undeniable vision, and an almost unsettling capacity to make things happen. The Mercurian elder who had once scoffed at Elon's water wheel was now speaking to another elder as they watched it effortlessly irrigate a larger field. That Dutchman, his tongue may be tangled, but his mind flows like the great Nile itself, finding new channels and bringing new life. Perhaps his ways are not madness after all. Perhaps they are a different kind of wisdom. Elon's initial success in Ethiopia, though modest, had a profound effect. It ignited his genius and emboldened his spirit. The single improved water wheel became a vision for a network. The repaired wall led to thoughts of improvements of fortification for entire villages. His mind, a whirlwind of restless innovation, saw systems waiting to be optimized everywhere in this ancient sun-baked land of the Nile. But Ethiopia, with its deeply ingrained traditions and limited resources, often resisted the pace of his ambitions. This new canal system, it could irrigate the entire northern province. Think of the surplus, the wealth. We need to convince the king's governor. Show him the numbers. The governor, Elon, is an old man. He trusts the Nile's flood, not a foreigner's calculation. And he worries such a project would upset the traditional rites, stir unrest. And it requires significant manpower for defense, Master Musk. Such a visible improvement would attract raiders from desert wastes like flies to honey. His enterprises sometime brought him into conflict, or at least competition, with local power structures. One ambitious project to develop a series of managed grazing pastures for a herding community was abruptly halted when a powerful local chieftain, one Elon had been trying to work with, suddenly declared his entire tribe would adopt nomadic ways, moving their herds far beyond Elon's planned area. This event was a frustrating setback. He just up and left, converted his whole tribe to this nomadism. All that planning for the pastures was wasted. That flogging confidence trickster. Their ways are not our ways, Elon. The desert calls to them. Perhaps there is a lesson here. Rigidity can be a weakness in these lands. Adaptability, that is strength. Adaptability, yes, perhaps you are right, Kadir. Fixed structures, they are vulnerable. Mobility, it has its advantages. This event planted a seed in Elon's mind. He began to study the nomadic cultures, particularly the SAGA people of the harsh Saharan fringes. Their resilience, their ability to thrive in scarcity, their mastery of desert travel, it fascinated his phenomenal intellect. His growing operations also required greater security. He began to hire mercenaries, experienced warriors to protect his caravans and work sites. Effain, observing Elon hosting a new defensive drill. You have a mind for strategy, Elon, no doubt, but shouting commands in the heat of battle, it is a different art. But I must learn. If I am to lead these men, if my ventures are to be secure, I must understand this too. It is another system to master. Elon was not a natural warrior. His first attempts to command his small force in skirmishes against desert raiders were often chaotic, sometimes even resulting in ignominious defeat. But he learned. He adapted. He invested his growing fortune in better equipment and more skilled commanders to train his men and to train him. Slowly, out of necessity and his relentless drive to understand and master any system he encountered, his commandeering skills began to develop. He would never be a dueling champion like those he heard of in the great cities of Byzantium and the Colosseums in Rome, but he was becoming a capable leader of armed men, a strategist who could organize a defense, a patron who understood the value of martial strength to protect the fruits of his ingenuity. The Dutch foreigner, once a curiosity, was becoming a force in Mercuria. His projects, though sometimes met with skepticism, were undeniably changing the landscape and improving the lives of the people and generating tons of wealth. But the land itself, with its vast, untamed spaces and its resilient nomadic peoples, was also changing him, pushing his mind in unexpected directions. The settled life of a Mercurian landholder, even a prosperous one, was beginning to feel constrained. Elon began to look over a map of trade routes and tribal territories. There's so much land, Kadir, so many peoples. Our little projects here, they are too small. There must be a grander scale, a more mobile way to connect it all. The whispers of the open desert, of the Zagwo, of a life lived not in fixed settlements but in constant adaptive movement, began to call Elon Musk. His future as a Dutchman in Mercuria was about to take a radical, nomadic turn. The chieftain's abrupt departure, his entire tribe converting to a nomadic lifestyle, and rendering Elon's planned pasture project obsolete, was more than just a financial setback. It was a profound lesson. Elon Musk, the genius innovator from the ordered lands of Dutch Europe, had encountered the unpredictable, deeply ingrained rhythms of the African interior. His fixed solutions, however logical, were vulnerable to the shifting sands of local customs and the allure of ancient ways. All that work, Kadir! The surveys, the water access points, the grazing rotations I designed, gone! Because he simply decided to wander off. How does one build anything lasting in such an unpredictable environment? Kadir casually laughed at Elon, having seen such shift in his years of traversing these lands. Master Elon, you tried to build a Dutch canal in the heart of the Sahara. The desert does not yield to such rigid designs easily. It demands flexibility. The people here, especially those like the Zagwo herders, they understand this. Their lives are not about fixed points, but about movement. About finding sustenance where it appears. They're about adapting to the land, not forcing the land to adapt to them. Elon stared out into the vast empty deserts. Where the pastures were meant to be, a new thought began to form. Movement? Adaptability? You mean instead of building stationary systems, one builds a mobile one? A system that moves with the resources, with the people? Precisely. The nomads do not see this land as empty, Elon. They see it as a vast pasture. Its bounty shifting with the seasons. They follow the rains, the new grasses. Their wealth is in their herds, in their freedom of movement, in their knowledge of the deep desert. It is a different kind of fortune. A different kind of genius. That conversation born of failure sparked a revolutionary idea in Elon's mind. He began to process this new paradigm. What if his ambition to build and innovate could be detached from fixed locations? What if his entire enterprise, his followers, his workshop, his trade ventures became a self-sufficient mobile entity? A highly organized, technologically advanced nomadic group led by a mighty visionary. The idea was audacious, unprecedented, and deeply compelling to Elon's restless spirit. Even now, more than ever, he began to actively study the local Zagwo nomads. He sought them out not as a settled lord attempting to impose his will, but as a traveler eager to learn. Your people, they thrive where others see only waste. How? What is the secret to your endurance, your freedom? The elder looked at Elon with a mixture of amusement and interest. The desert speaks to those who listen, Dutchman. She teaches us that what matters is not what you own in one place, but what you can carry with you. In your herds, in your skill, in your heart. Attachment to one patch of sand is a weakness. The ability to find life anywhere, that is strength. Our herds are our wealth, our knowledge of the stars, our maps, our community, our fortress. Elon was captivated. This was not primitive wandering. This was a highly sophisticated system of survival and communal wealth, perfectly adapted to the harsh environment. He saw immense potential. Imagine combining Zagwo resilience and desert knowledge with the Dutch's organizational skills and engineering prowess. The decision when it came was radical. Elon Musk, the Dutchman from the settled lands of Europe who had come to Mercuria to build fixed enterprises, decided to become a nomad himself. In a mass gathering, he decided to bring all his followers together. We changed course. Mercuria, its settlements, they are too constraining for the vision I now have. We will embrace the desert not as raiders, but as innovators. A new kind of tribe. We will take the best of our Dutch ways, of our engineering, and of our organization, our drive, and we will merge it with the wisdom of the Zagwo. We will build a mobile fortune, a nomadic enterprise.
A nomad, my husband? You? Who dream of tears and water wings? How will you build such a thing on shifting sand?
We will adapt, Moriana. Our workshops will be on wheels. Our farms will be our herds. Our trade will follow the caravan routes with greater freedom than before. We will be a nation in motion, self-sufficient, resilient. There was skepticism, of course. Some of his Mercurian followers chose to remain behind, but his core group, mostly fellow outsiders or those bound by strong loyalty, trusted his genius, however unorthodox his plans may be. The transition was challenging. They had to acquire herds, camels, goats, hardy desert cattle. They had to learn animal husbandry on a scale they had never imagined. Elon, true to his nature, threw himself into mastering these new systems, his stutter often evident as he directed the complex logistics of transforming his settled enterprise into a nomadic one. Elon actively sought to integrate with friendly Zagwo clans. He traded fairly. He offered his group skills, Ito, the Gentle's healing, his own engineering solutions for well digging or repairing nomadic equipment. In exchange for knowledge of desert routes, grazing lands, and survival techniques, he encouraged intermarriage. He himself, though Moriana, already had a connection to the local peoples, but he fostered more. He began to adopt elements of Zagwo's dress, finding it far more practical for his desert life. His Dutch tongue was still his primary mode of thought, but he became increasingly fluent in the languages of the land and began to learn the clicks and cadences of the Zagwo language. Sheik, your people know the hidden wells. My people can improve those wells, make them last longer. We can trade with cloth, metal tools for your excellent camels. A partnership beneficial to both of our tribes. A Zagwo-Dutch understanding. Slowly, a unique cultural fusion began. His Dutch followers learned to ride and fight from camels and horses. The Zagwo who joined or allied with his growing nomadic band began to incorporate Dutch organizational methods, even bits of their language. It was the birth of something new, a Zagwo-Dutch hybrid culture, born from Elon Musk's audacious decision to abandon settled life and embrace the call of the open sands. His ambition had found a new, vaster canvas. Elon Musk is burgeoning Zagwo-Dutch nomadic enterprise, now a formidable moving settlement, pushed ever westward. His ambition was not merely to trade, but to explore, to map, to understand the vast, uncharted territories of Central Africa. He sought new resources, new trade routes, and new people to integrate into his unique mobile vision of prosperity. This relentless drive for expansion for the new was a core part of his being. This This region here, west of Lake Chad, the old stories speak of fertile valleys, hidden oases. If we can establish a secure route, it opens up a new corridor for our trade, for our people. Ooh, that is deep desert, Dutchman. The domains of our shifting sands and merciless sun. Even the most experienced Zagwo clans tread there with great caution. It is said the Simoon, the poisonous wind, can rise without warning and swallow entire caravans. A Fane rubbing and stroking his chin. The risk is considerable, Elon. Our herds are growing. Our wagons are laden. A disaster in such a remote region. Risks are calculated, to Fane. We have good scouts now. Our water discipline is excellent. Thanks to the water wheel and our newly acquired mangonels, perhaps it can be used to dig emergency wells if needed. We prepare, we innovate, we go. And so the great Zagwo Dutch caravan, now numbering several hundred souls along with vast herds, turned westward, venturing into some of the most forbidden landscapes on Earth. For weeks, the journey was arduous but manageable. Elon's meticulous planning, his insistence on efficiency in water usage and food rationing kept them sustained. His phenomenal ability to adapt and learn was evident as he consulted daily with the Zagwo guides, absorbing their ancient knowledges of the desert. He was no longer just an innovator, he was becoming a true desert leader, responsible for many lives. Then, the sky changed. There was a great sound of wind that began to increase in intensity. The animals were braying and shouting. There was a Zagwo scout galloping back, his face pale beneath his turban, shouting over the rising winds. Simoon! Simoon, it comes! The sky eats itself! We must find shelter now! A towering wall of ochre dust, stretching from horizon to horizon. It advances upon them with terrifying speed. The sun was blotted out, day turned into a suffocating, hollow twilight. The air became thick with choking sands, visibility dropping to a mere feet. Panic began to ripple through the caravan. And Elon, usually hampered by his stutter, now cuts through the roar of the wind with an urgent, almost preternatural clarity, his mind racing to find a solution. Circles! Wagons in circles, animals to the center, women, children shelter behind the beasts. Afane, Khadir, secure the flanks. Use the heaviest wagons as windbreaks. Khadir, your knights patrol the perimeter, keep the animals from bolting. Etu, prepare for injuries. Dehydration, move! Move now! His followers, terrified but trusting his decisive command, scrambled to obey. The well-organized Dutch discipline merged with Zagwo resilience. Wagons were removed into defensive rings. Camels and cattle were forced into the relative calm of the center, their bodies forming a living shield. The people huddled, covering their faces with cloth as a storm hit them with the fury of a malevolent god. For what seemed like an eternity they endured. The wind tore at their shelter, sand infiltrated everything. Abrading skin, choking lungs, the animals screamed in terror, people prayed to their respective deities. Coptics to the saints, Asharis to Allah, the ancient Zagwo to the spirits of the desert, the Coptics to God. Elon was everywhere. He moved from group to group, his face masked, his eyes narrowed against the stinging grits. He bolstered failing wagon walls. He calmed panic animals with a surprisingly steadied hand. He shouted encouragement, his stutter lost in the gale, replaced by sheer force of will. He directed those with shovels to dig shallow trenches for extra protection. His mind, accustomed to solving complex engineering problems, now feverishly worked on the immediate brutal problem of survival.
Elon! Elon, my husband! Are we lost?
Elon's voice was raw but firm, pausing to ensure her group is secure. We're not lost, Moriana! We will endure! This too shall pass. Keep their spirits up. Sing to the children if you must. We will see the sun again. Hours passed in the roaring darkness. Some despaired. A few weaker animals perished. But the core of Elon's innovative defenses, his quick thinking, and the discipline he had instilled held. He had ordered water skins to be buried shallowly to keep them cool and prevent bursting, a trick he learned from the Zagwo elders. He had rations distributed evenly even in the chaos. Then, as gradually as it had begun, the fury of the Simoon began to abate. The wind lessened its howl. The suffocating dust began to settle. A bruised, pale light flickered back into the world. Elon Musk, caked in sand, his voice a hoarse whisper, stood amidst the battered remnants of his caravan. They were alive, battered, exhausted. Some were injured, but most were alive. They had faced the deadliest peril of the deep desert, and through its leadership and their collective resilience, they had survived. Kadir, with a grim look, approached but was relieved. Master, by all the saints and spirits, I thought that was our end. Your commands, they saved us. That wagon circle, it was inspired. We were fortunate, Kadir, and prepared, but our trek westward, it is stopped for now. We are now in Zagwo territory. We must recover, rebuild, and learn from this. Always learn. The great sandstorm had nearly been their undoing, but in surviving it, Elon Musk had proven something profound to his followers and perhaps to himself. His genius was not for building fortunes or machines. It was for survival, for leadership in the face of annihilation. They were halted deep in the Zagwo lands, but they were not defeated. The next chapter of their nomadic saga would be written here in the aftermath of the storm. The great sandstorm, the Simoon, that had nearly erased Elon's audacious Zagwo Dutch enterprise became a defining moment. In its aftermath, stranded deep in traditional Zagwo territory, recovery was swift, thanks to Elon's extraordinary leadership and the resilience of his people. The local Zagwo clans who had initially watched this strange, technologically adept caravan with suspicion were impressed by their survival and the Dutchman's unwavering resolve. New alliances were forged not just of necessity, but of mutual respect. The camp's cooks, guided by Moriano's oversight and learning of the Zagwo methods, became adept at preserving food and managing sustenance for the long desert treks. That storm, it taught us much. Our wagons need to be lighter, stronger. Our water discipline even tighter. Our knowledge of the deep desert, it must become as natural as breathing. Sheikh Faisal, your people's understanding of the star navigation in the deep sands. We must learn from this. In return, my engineers can show your smiths how to forge spears, stronger spear points, more durable tools. The Dutchman learns. He listens to the desert now. Not just to the clatter of his strange machines, his people survived the mother of all storms. There's a powerful spirit in him. Perhaps our ways and his ways can indeed make each other stronger. We will share our knowledge of the stars, Elon, and we will learn of your metal craft. This became the pattern. Elon, the phenomenal innovator, turned his intellect towards perfecting the art of nomadic life. He designed collapsible, more aerodynamic yurts. He developed systems for water purification. His instincts guided the expansion of their herds, creating a unique and valuable stock. His traveling band became a nomadic nation. Dutch engineers worked alongside Zagwo artisans. Ito the Gentle cultivated a mobile garden of medicinal herbs. Kadir and Afane managed the vast logistics of their migration, while also training a formidable mounted guard, blending Dutch discipline with Zagwo skirmishing tactics. Their growing strength soon led to new challenges. As their herds expanded, they required vast pastures. Elon, ever pragmatic and focused on the growth of his people, began utilizing prime grazing lands that Locan chieftains considered theirs by ancestral right, even if sparsely used. One such leader was Chief Agaya, a proud and powerful warrior who demanded tribute from all who grazed their herds on the lands he claimed. The great Chief Egya acknowledges your presence on his ancestral pastures, Dutchman. However, he expects customary tribute. 10% of your new calves, 20 prize camels, and a gift of your foreign metalwork. This will ensure your continued peaceful grazing. Elon met the emissary, flanked by Kadir and Afane, his gaze direct, his stutter barely perceptible now, replaced by a steely resolve. These lands, they are nourished by God's reign, not by Chief Egya's decree alone. My people, the Zagwo Dutch, we take only what we need. We improve what we touch. We defend our own. We pay tribute to no man who has not earned our respect through fair dealings or proven might. Go tell your Chief Egya that Elon Musk offers friendship and trade, not subservience. The emissary was shocked and angered by this blatant refusal. You defy Chief Egyo? You? An outsider? A wanderer? He will not take this lightly. His warriors will sweep you from these lands like chaff in the wind. We are not chaff, sir. We are new wind ourselves. Let Chief Egya consider his actions carefully. We desire peace, but we are prepared for other contingencies. The emissary departed fuming. The defiance was clear. Elon Musk leading his nomadic nation was no longer just an intriguing foreigner. He was a new power in the region, staking his claim, building his fortune on his own terms and refusing to bow to old hierarchies.
You challenge powerful men, my husband. Chief Egya has many spears. Is this wisdom? Or is it that old Dutch stubbornness you carry?
It is neither, Moriana, or perhaps both. It is the necessity of growth, of strength. We cannot build a future for our children if we are constantly cowering before every petty lord who demands a share of our labor. We offer fairness. We expect the same. If that means conflict, then we will meet it. Our cavalry is improved. Our mangonels are ready. We are not the small band that survived the sea moon by luck alone. We are a people with a destiny. Elon Musk, the Dutch genius who arrived in Africa as an outsider, had found his true calling not in settled lands, but in the endless horizons of the Sahara. He'd merged cultures and innovated, and built a fortune not of static gold but of thriving herds, loyal followers, and a unique, resilient nomadic society. His stutter was now just a quaint characteristic of a legendary leader whose actions spoke with an undeniable, powerful eloquence. The future of the SAGA Dutch people under his guidance stretched before them, as vast and full of the potential as the desert sky itself. Even as new conflicts gathered like storm clouds on the horizon, his ambition was no longer just to build, but to lead his chosen people towards an ever-unfolding, self-determined destiny.